Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lisa Kramer. I'm RISD's Fulbright Program Advisor, or FPA. Fulbright is an intense process. My job is to make it more exciting rather than overwhelming, and to help you understand the process and mission so you can learn and grow from each step. I'm here to help you at all stages of the application cycle, pull all the pieces together into a compelling proposal, no matter your discipline or project content. Fulbright is also a long process. To briefly outline the timeline, you will start working on this in the winter or spring, maybe even earlier. Things will intensify during the summer as you pull all the pieces together. You will submit early fall, then the following spring, you are notified of the decision. Grants begin late summer or fall, a year after you submitted, or even the winter or the next year for some countries. Once you start the application process, the grant is a good year away. So if you're intending to apply this year, great. Consider that you will need to set time aside for Fulbright between spring and through September. If you are interested in next year or the year after, also great. It's never too early to start thinking about a Fulbright grant. Some can pull this off in 5 to 6 months, but many take 1 to 2 years to develop their proposal. In any case, you are here now and will learn a great deal, no matter how far you go in the Fulbright exploration. So about Fulbright. The goal is to increase mutual understanding between the people of the US and the people of other countries through exchange. It was created by Congress in 1946 to promote international goodwill through the exchange of students in the fields of education, culture, and science. It is funded through US Congress. It is administered in the US by the Institute of International Education, IIE, and it is administered overseas by binational commissions and US embassies. This is a government grant, which you should keep in mind as you consider your audience. It is also very important that you always keep in mind that Fulbright is at heart about meaningful cross-cultural exchange. The grant is open to graduating seniors. You may begin the application process in your junior year, but you won't be able to submit an application until the fall of the senior year. Graduate students and recent graduates know that you can apply through RISD up to 3 years after graduation. You must be a US citizen by the application deadline, have a bachelor's degree by the start of the grant, be proficient in the language of the host country, and have limited experience in the host country. For most programs, applicants who have had extensive recent experience in the host country or extensive foreign experience may be at a competitive disadvantage, but are still eligible to apply. Plus, there are country-specific requirements you will need to familiarize yourself with. Know that diversity and inclusion are cornerstone principles of Fulbright. Fulbright's goal is to have a program that represents the diversity that makes up the US. There are 2 main grants, the Study Research Grant, which is independent research, study, or arts projects abroad for 8 to 10 months, offered in 140 countries. English teaching assistantships are an opportunity for you to help teach English and use culture in a classroom for 8 to 10 months, offered in 75 countries. I'm going to focus on the Study Research Grant, as that is what most RISD students are interested in. But no, we are happy to help you with an ETA application too. Keep in mind, though, that the ETA opportunity comes with the expectation that you have experience in teaching, experience in working with non-native English speakers, specific teaching ideas and methods, and can make clear connections as to why teaching English will support your long-term goals. So a little more on the Study Research Grant in the creative arts. You will need a well-developed project and/or study plan that, in Fulbright's words, improves your craft, which means art and design making needs to be central in the study, research, and outcomes. You need to develop and document a host country affiliation relationship. This might be with a university, research think tank, lab, library, community organization, or nonprofit, in which you receive mentorship and critique, maybe access to facilities or equipment. Perhaps you're taking a class or workshop, plus you could be supporting their research or class or assisting in a production or conference. You will also need a compelling visual portfolio that supports the grant activities. Consider that your portfolio will be reviewed by US artists and designers and host country experts, who are likely not all artists and designers. You will need to include meaningful host country community engagement and have a high level of academic, professional, and/or artistic achievement, and demonstrated leadership, flexibility, adaptability, and openness. There's an additional program called the Fulbright National Geographic Storytelling Fellowship. This is really exciting, but it is a little tricky. It is supplemental to the Study Research Grant. Supplemental meaning only if you receive the Study Research Grant will you be considered for the National Geographic Storytelling Fellowship, which means your study research project must be first and foremost. Your National Geographic proposed project cannot distract from your study research project. Your study research project must stand alone with the National Geographic Storytelling Fellowship as a possible enhancement. If you are interested in adding this to your Fulbright application, you will include additional application components, a storytelling project proposal, a storytelling portfolio, and a storytelling portfolio narrative. While all applicants of all disciplines are welcome, know that they are looking for academic storytellers who can tell research-based stories. You have to have demonstrated experience in storytelling, and it is incredibly competitive. If you're seriously interested and it makes sense for you in your work, you will need to carefully review all the details of this program. What are the award benefits? Round-trip airfare, a monthly stipend, accident and sickness benefits, and other possible benefits depending on the host country. Once you return from a Fulbright experience, you will have gained new perspectives, skills, and insights that will influence you for the rest of your life, along with Fulbright being a great network builder and resume builder. One of the most common questions that is asked about benefits is, can I defer my loans while I'm on a Fulbright grant for a year? And the answer is yes. What does a Fulbright project look like? It is so hard to define. There are so many variables from your skills and interests to your affiliate's area of expertise, and there are 140 countries, each with their own interests and requirements. The possibilities are endless, but there are basically 3 broad types with lots of gray area in between. Independent study research is the traditional Fulbright award in which you design a project from beginning to end that allows you to work with people of the host country to mutually advance in your field of interest. Some countries offer graduate enrollment as an option. In this case, the program, activities, and outcomes are set. It's graduate study. However, this can be tricky as you still have to make a strong case for this isn't just about funding for graduate study. Why is this a Fulbright? What is a meaningful cross-cultural exchange? Why this country? How is this something that you can't do in the US? It is important that you make a case for how your exploration goes beyond the institution of graduate study. And for most countries, you also have to be accepted to the university program, usually a separate process. This is what most RISD Fulbright writers do, hybrids. Most have some connection to a university, academy, or institution in which there is some structured class or workshop learning, plus some sort of independent mission, earning, learning, question, exploration. Usually to do this effectively, RISD applicants have secondary affiliates, which gets them out into the community exploring, practicing, and applying their skills and learning. Let's move on to the Fulbright resources. The Fulbright website is extensive. Everything you need is there. But because there's so much to navigate, I'm going to give you a tour and highlight the most important pages for you to review to get started. First, be sure you're on the Fulbright U.S. Student Program website, not the Fulbright Scholars website or a host country's Fulbright website. Make sure it says U.S. Student at the top. Probably the most exciting pages are the country information and requirements found here by region. For example, let's look at Romania. Here you will find the award profile and grant period. If there's anything in particular they are looking for in candidates, such as discipline, area of focus, or degree levels. Of course, you'll want to check out the language requirement right away. Any restrictions or preferences on affiliation will be listed on this page. And you may also find a link to the host country website or an email to an actual human. Process information is found under the Applicants tab, Application Components. Choose the grant, Creative and Performing Arts. Here you will find each application component with drop-downs that include considerable details on instructions and tips. Visual material requirements are found under Supplemental Materials. The visual materials are not supplementary, they are required and they are very important. Click on the link to Required Materials. You will get a list of the Fulbright disciplines with drop-downs to the requirements for each. You will have to choose a discipline. There is no multidiscipline option. It's not that you can't have a multidisciplinary practice or project, because there are so many applicants, they have to put you in categories. So you will have to choose what best fits your project and consider your audience. The link to the online application, which opens in early April, is found here. Fulbright offers webinars April through October. Under the Applicants tab under Information Sessions, you will find webinars for applicants. These are 1-hour sessions in which you will hear from Fulbright experts and hear questions from your peers around the country. It is important that you listen to a couple of these. I listen to at least 20 every year and learn a little something new each time. It is also important that you hear from Fulbright directly to confirm what I'm telling you and to provide you with new perspectives. If you see one you are really interested in but miss it, make note, then go to recorded webinars to listen in. You will also find webinars from the previous year here. I am often an applicant's first go-to, but know that Fulbright program officers who work for IIE are there to help too. Sometimes I don't know the country-specific answer. There are 140 countries, so it'll be best for you to email or call the program directors directly. Their contact information can be found by going to Contacts in tiny white font at the bottom of the page. Also in tiny white font at the bottom, you will find a link to a page of interesting statistics. You will find application and awards for each country. I did the math here, and in 2020-2021, 35.7% of the study research projects were awarded in the Czech Republic and 20% in Denmark. By no means should statistics solely guide your choice. If you are passionate about a country and your project is a great fit for that country, don't look at the statistics. But if you are open, the statistics may help you make a decision. You may want to poke around in the statistics and consider a less competitive country. Obviously, English-speaking countries are more competitive. The UK is by far the most competitive. If you speak another language, consider how that might be an advantage. And if you speak French, maybe instead of French, which is quite competitive, consider Benin, Morocco, or Burkina Faso. And if you don't speak another language, consider a country like Latvia or Norway with no language requirement, or Laos or Malaysia that have a more flexible language requirement. Learning some of the language is still important to these countries, but because their language is not commonly taught in the US, they are more flexible. Also in statistics, you will find a link to the top producing institutions. RISD students and alumni do very well in this competition, and RISD is a top producing school in the specialized institution category, with 89 awardees who have explored their creative projects in 43 different countries. Under the Alumni tab, you will find a grantee directory with Fulbright alumni across the country in all disciplines. I did a search on sculpture and India, which resulted in 13 Fulbrighters. There's not a lot of information on each Fulbrighter here, but the directory may give you some project idea leads or help you determine the country's interests, and maybe even lead you to someone to contact. Fulbrighters are often happy to talk to applicants about their experience. But when looking for Fulbright artists for inspiration or support, I suggest you start at the RISD's Career Center website. Scroll down to learn more about Fulbright and then to the RISD Fulbright Showcase. You will get a site of RISD Fulbrighters. Over 35 are on the site. In stories, you can read about their projects and you can connect with them through their website or see what they are up to on their Instagram. In the Experience Gallery, you can see some great photos of their lives and the people they worked with while on the Fulbright grant. And in the Artwork Gallery, you can see both what they submitted to receive the grant and the results of their projects. This website is a great place to go for inspiration and make connections. But for the nitty-gritty, how does this actually happen for RISD students? Go back to the Fulbright section on the RISD Career Center website. There are two very important documents to guide your process: the checklist and deadlines, and getting started. First, though, consider, will you be applying through RISD? If enrolled or an alum who graduated in the past 3 years, you have the option to apply through RISD, but you are welcome to apply on your own, which Fulbright calls at large, and it is not seen as a disadvantage by Fulbright in any way. Know that the pro to applying through RISD is you'll receive intensive support throughout the process, but the con may be you must follow RISD's internal deadlines. We require you to submit in mid-August in order to receive feedback, have time for fine-tuning, and resubmit. Fulbright's national deadline is early October. Our internal deadlines are in place so we can effectively, efficiently, and fairly support all of you through the process, but they are also in place for your benefit. We know from past experience that applicants who start late really struggle and then decide to wait until next year, which is fine. Lots of applicants have false starts and come back stronger the next year. This is RISD's checklist and deadline, which you saw earlier. This is just the first page of this document, a visual look at the deadlines. This document goes on to provide additional milestones for each application component. This document will help guide your process. Be sure to check out this document on the website for the exact dates, but know that the first deadline is a Kickstart meeting in mid to late May, where you confirm your intent and country choice, and we ensure you are ready to go. The second deadline is your first draft, due early June. And the first submit, if you're applying through RISD, is mid-August. Keep in mind, summer can be very challenging. Consider that many countries have a culture of long holidays in the summer, and holiday means a real break. You may find that affiliate contacts are not available, particularly mid-July to early September. And we strongly encourage you to submit documents before the deadlines. This will provide you with early reviews, meaning more time to redraft, incorporate feedback, fine-tune, and move on to your next draft or another application component. The second important document is the RISD Getting Started. This is the index page of that document. The first thing you'll notice is that it's really long, but consider that this is a condensed version of everything for RISD artists and designers in one place, with guidance based on our experience with working with many applicants over the years. This is your resource. Take the time to read this over once now, and then use it as a reference throughout the process. The RISD Getting Started document walks you through each application component with detailed advice. Plus, it has valuable information on how to work with me, what makes you a strong candidate, and what makes a competitive proposal. So what are the components? Affiliation. Applicants must find and arrange their affiliations. Countries have specific requirements, but it's usually with a university, nonprofit, or research think tank. It cannot be with a for-profit company. Applicants must build a relationship and then document the nature of the relationship in a letter. Yes, this can be hard and take time, so start early. Just do it. Don't wait for the perfect draft or perfect project idea. Who your affiliate is, what they can offer, what they would like in return will affect your project ideas and proposal. You want to work with your affiliate to develop your project. There are tips in the Getting Started document to help your search and develop your affiliation. We also have an email outreach template and actual affiliate letters we can review with you during advising appointments. Statement of grant purpose. This is a 2-page proposal outlining all the details and purpose of your project. There are a number of tools to get you started on project development and writing. In the RISD Getting Started document, under the application component, Statement of Grant Purpose, you can find these prompts to ensure you hit key content. This is, in a sense, a way to interview yourself. You can use these prompts as headers to help you focus, and then as your drafts develop, you'll delete. In fact, I often use them as a checklist when I review your first draft. Do consider that less is more. One thoughtful idea will be more effective than many. The purpose statement needs to be a clear and straightforward plan. You need a focused, unique direction to get busy reviewers on board. Personal statement. You have a 1-page to talk about your path. How did you get to this point of applying for a Fulbright? This is where you can be more creative and show some personality. It could be anything, really. It is an introduction to you. Obviously, nothing too personal. Remember, this is a government grant, and it should be directly related to your project. Think of this as a 3rd page in connection to your purpose statement. This is a great place for critical reflection. Fulbright loves critical reflection and seeing that you have an awareness of your arc of growth. What did you try, learn, then realize, and how did that change your perspective, lead you to new questions and next steps? This is also a place for examples and stories rather than a listing like a resume. Deep reflection of one story in your path is better than a list. For both the purpose and personal statement, consider in the Getting Started document the section on what makes a competitive proposal. For each of these green bullets, you will find a detailed description of what Fulbright is looking for. Read this now at the beginning and keep referring back to it as you develop your proposal. In addition, consider asking yourself the 2 big important questions. First, why this country? Beyond the institution you'll be working with, if you picked up this project for Singapore and moved it to Japan, is it the same thing? How is it unique to Singapore? Second, how will this experience improve your craft? Beyond inspiration or a new place to practice, what skills are you gaining to specifically improve your craft in this country? Language forms. Depending on the country, a language self-evaluation and a professional evaluation may be required or recommended. 3 recommendation letters are required. Choose wisely in terms of who will write a meaningful letter and who will be timely. At the application stage, unofficial transcripts are required. So you will need to collect these documents, scan them neatly, and upload them into the application. The online application is really long and includes 5 to 6 additional essays. Start this early. This is not a last-minute thing. And be neat and consistent in both content and in formatting. You want to have a strong application package from beginning to end. And finally, visual materials. I have this last, not because it isn't important. It is. It's extremely important. But you are the experts on this. You know how to do this well. I won't get into a lot of detail in this tutorial, but consider a few critically important tips. Connect your images to your grant project. Curate the order thoughtfully. Consider your audience carefully. Your reviewers are not only artists. Take advantage of the image descriptions. Tell your reviewers, especially your non-art reviewers, more about your process and ways of thinking. I highly recommend you check out the Fulbright Arts Portfolio webinar found on Fulbright's recorded webinars page. The final weeks can be fairly intense, so I'm going to walk you through the submission steps. If you are applying through RISD, you submit the complete application through the Fulbright online system by mid-August. But I see it first. Fulbright is not looking at this point. I arranged your RISD Fulbright interview. And don't worry, the interview is more fun than it is scary, and it can be very helpful. Know that RISD is not a gatekeeper. We submit all applications. The interview's purpose is to ensure that you're prepared to carry out your proposed project and provide an opportunity for you to receive additional feedback. After your interview, I unsubmit your application and you have a last chance for fine-tuning. This is the time for minor changes, not rewriting. Redeveloping after months of work doesn't usually work out well. This is a time to make careful, select changes to strengthen. Then you resubmit. Again, your submission goes to RISD to me for a quick review to catch any errors. I then hit my submit button to Fulbright and it's done. Art applications are first reviewed in the US by experts by discipline, and semifinalist decisions are announced in January. Semifinalist applications then go to the host country for review. And then host countries make their decisions. Both governments approve and finalists are announced anytime between February and May, usually in March or April. I've given you a lot of information and resources here, but how do you get started? Grant writing is just as much about organization skills as it is project development. Developing organizational tools based on your style to keep track of your research, drafts, and affiliate outreach, and set personal milestones to help you meet these deadlines. Review the country summary pages, which is really exciting and is important to find out early on if there are restrictions, preferences, or special requirements. Start drafting your purpose and personal statements earlier. The first draft, the commitment in writing, and the feedback you receive, this is when things really take off. And find help. Ask for help. This is a complicated grant. Find people who will support your application process. Meet with me, but not only me. I'm only one voice in this process. Find someone in your discipline to guide your research and content. Find someone to give you feedback on your image choices. Get a professor on board before the end of the semester. Maybe you can send them a draft or two this summer. Reach out to the RISD Center for Arts and Language. They are an excellent resource for brainstorming or fine-tuning your proposal. Talk to RISD Global about where RISD might have connections in your host country. A word on getting advice for help is get that advice early on in the process rather than so much at the end. At the beginning, all voices are important. At the end, your voice is important. Last-minute advice is dangerous as it can really throw you off. Everyone will see something different. Well-intentioned advice can send you down a rabbit hole after months of hard work, and it is really hard to recover from that. And one more resource for you. On the RISD Fulbright page, scroll down to Tips from a RISD Fulbrighter. Click on Learn More. You will find a document full of excellent insights and tips from RISD Fulbrighter to Brazil, Gail Foreman. I want to leave you with a reminder of the first deadlines. Schedule your Kickstart meeting to take place by mid-May. You can make an appointment with me on the Career Center website. At some point, depending on the applicant pool, I am only open to appointments for those applying this year. But RISD Career Center advisors Jason and Scott will continue taking appointments for those interested in a future Fulbright application. First drafts are due early June. This is a draft, and there'll be many more. But it should be a serious, thoughtful draft, not an outline, not bullets, and in the correct format and page numbers, and proofs for typos and grammar errors. You don't have to have all the answers for the first draft. Start pretending and imagining. But the more thoughtful your drafts are, the deeper I can go in my review to provide feedback that will help you take it to the next level. Be sure to check the checklist and deadlines on the RISD Fulbright webpage for the exact due dates. And finally, I want to emphasize what an amazing experience Fulbright is. Even the application process itself is a valuable experience, from the research to developing relationships overseas to writing to submitting. A Fulbright proposal is a lot of work, maybe the most intense proposal you will ever write. And a Fulbright application, after a Fulbright application, other grants will seem easy. And know that it will not be a waste of time. I look forward to working with you. Thank you, everyone, and be safe.